All right, everybody. So today we're going to get into it a little more in depth in terms of what it actually takes to achieve weight loss goal, extreme weight loss goal, or physique transformation goal beyond the actual diets and workouts that everyone seems to be so focused on with blinders. But usually it requires a little something else. So I did this video in terms of what I think are must-haves in order to achieve your goal. So I have 17 must-haves below. I'm going to go through them one by one, and I look forward to your comments. By all means, let me know what you think and what I missed or what I didn't miss, and something to think about. So, you know what? I've been in this industry now, physique transformation industry, for over 4 decades. So I think I know a little bit about why people succeed and why and how they fail at weight loss or physique transformation. And I know what it takes to achieve these goals, and what it takes are some must-have personal conditions that no one seems to want to talk about these days. Everyone seems to be focused on majoring in minor details of diet and training. But let's talk about the bigger picture. What it takes is the essential non-sexy foundations that forge personal commitment toward achieving and sustaining a desired outcome. Why isn't that the first thing people are talking about? Why is it pushed aside so that people can focus on the sexy stuff like grams of this and percentages of that, when they're not even looking at the bigger picture? So here are 17 must-have principles and conditions necessary to achieving and sustaining your physique transformation goals or weight loss goals. So I want you to really and seriously consider these as I go through them, and at the end I will post all 17 of them as well for you to look at, make a list, print it out, put it somewhere where you can see it, because without these 17 rules and principles and conditions for your foundation for achievement, it doesn't matter how good your program or your diet may be and how effective it is. So let's look at 17 must-have principles and conditions in order to achieve and sustain a physique transformation goal. So let's get into it. Number 1, you must have a penchant to work harder at that goal. There are no miracle hacks to get you there faster, and there's no magic supplements to swallow, and there are no guaranteed outcomes. So stop the nonsense. Stop looking and clicking on clickbait articles at 5 miracle hacks for 6-pack abs and all the rest of it. And there's no guaranteed outcomes. The only thing you can guarantee is the quality and quantity of effort you put toward your goals. So you must have a desire to work even just a little bit harder toward your goal. And you must have a work ethic beyond where it currently is, or you would already be there, having achieved your goal and sustaining it. The reality here is that there is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears between the starting line of a dream and the finish line of achieving that dream. Sign up for the reality of the blood, sweat, and tears, or you are surely just pretending. So let's throw this little part back up there on the screen for you. The reality is there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears between the starting line of a dream and the finish line of achieving that dream. And you must sign up for that reality. And whether you've really signed up for that reality is going to be reflective in the actions and behaviors that you consistently follow. And I'll get into that. Number 2, you must have a will-do attitude and not a can-do attitude. A can-do attitude only speaks to your thoughts and emotions toward wanting the goal. A will-do attitude speaks to taking action. So, are you a doer or a thinker about doing? To quote Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. So, forget about can-do attitude. Everyone can do something. It's a will-do attitude that is going to beget actions and behaviors that are going to deliver you to the desired outcome. Number 3, you must have and develop a sense of resilience over a sense of illusion. You must have and develop a sense of resilience over and above a sense of illusion. What does that mean? It means the road ahead is long. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be slip-ups. Life may even get in the way from time to time. Life will definitely put all our backs against the wall at some point, maybe at many points. That's just life. These things exist to test you, to challenge you, to teach you how to respond better next time. You haven't lost all the progress you've made just because you stumble and fall, or because real life makes you push the pause button on your goal. You only lose if you refuse to get back up again, or refuse to push the play button and get on with it. So don't wallow in the stumble and fall when it happens. If every snag and regression makes you want to quit, then you aren't ready to achieve your goal anyway. Let me say that again. If every snag and regression makes you want to quit, then you aren't ready to achieve your goal anyway. So you must have and develop resilience for the more challenging obstacles that lay ahead. If not, you likely follow down this path. The first time you quit, it's hard and it bothers you. The second time you quit, it becomes easier to rationalize as something you wanted to do anyway. And then the third time you quit, well, now you don't even have to think much about it. But then you fail to realize that a quitter is now what you have become, and is that what you want for yourself? So you must have and develop a sense of resilience over a sense of illusion. Next, you must have a desire for preparation. Preparation comes before motivation. In fact, preparation is a form of illustration of actual motivation, isn't it? And there are few obstacles ahead that a prepared mind and agenda cannot sidestep. Preparation is everything. It leads to being more proactive than reactive, and that gives you a deeper sense of control over all the conditions and variables you're going to encounter. Next, you must have simple mantras to go to in your mind that keep you focused on your goals and the process required to achieve it. I'll give you an example. For me, my whole time in my younger years, in the bodybuilding community and academically, etc., I constantly recited in my head, quitters never win and winners never quit. And that took me ahead in a lot of ways that I can't even remember or recall now. But I just remember in my younger years when I was had a penchant to be distracted by other things and to follow my wants rather than my have-tos. I kept saying quitters never win, winners never quit, and that mantra kept me grounded. So find a mantra that grounds you and inspires you, and use and remind yourself of it daily. Very, very important. Next, you must have ownership and responsibility for the process and the goal. Stop the blame game. Remember, blame means capital B, lame. Blame means be lame. When you trip up, own it. It's on you. There are no yeah buts. But also don't be a martyr about it all either. If you choose the goal, then you also choose all that is required to reach it, and that's going to vary from person to person. Therefore, own that and leave the poor me's and you just don't understands out of the equation. Choose the goal, then choose the reality requirements to achieve that goal. And own that and be responsible for that. If real achievement is about anything, it's about owning what it takes to get there and being responsible and response-able to do what it takes, not just to survive it, but to want to do what it takes and not just to survive it. Next, you must have the right attitude to achieve the goal. Attitude is everything. If you see most or all of the process ahead as some kind of personal burden and extreme sacrifice on you, then you likely aren't going to get there. And even if you do get there, you'll be so bitter about it that you'll be unlikely to sustain it. I've seen that a million times in my career. You can't have the right attitude if you desire and want to reach the goal, but you don't want and desire to embrace all that is required to achieve it. Sacrifice is not martyrdom. sacrifice of time and energy and the change that inevitably results, these are essentials to achieving the goal. Embrace them, but embrace them with positive and productive and constructive attitude. Okay, that's very important. Next, you must have deeper dedication that extends beyond mere convenience. Anyone can follow a cleared path that has no obstacles. Your real dedication is going to show through when obstacles appear. For instance, why is it so many of my clients who have crazy hectic work schedules and kids at home and they travel extensively and yet they still make their diet strategy and their training work while others struggle just because it's the weekend? The answer is the level of actual dedication versus fantasy levels of dedication. So that's very, very important as well. You must have a level of dedication that extends beyond mere convenience. Next, you must have a belief in yourself that you can do this and that you will do this. Other people can support you, but no one else is going to do it for you. So many people have past failures built up in their minds, and it leads to tremendous self-doubt when trying to do it again. That's a very, very shaky foundation to rely on. Remind yourself the past is prologue. The past is but prologue. You may not have achieved your goal in previous attempts, and that's okay. That should just teach you about what thoughts, actions, and behaviors didn't work previously. So that narrows down your agenda to what might work right now and in the future. So that can spearhead doing it better this time, and none of that will matter if you don't believe that you can and will achieve this goal. So don't let past failures taint and sabotage present commitments. Next, you must have a developed sense of realism and pragmatism. Where has that gone in the modern era of social media nonsense? You must have and develop a sense of realism and pragmatism. The costs of achievement are pricey indeed, but so are the personal satisfaction rewards that come along with achieving a goal. Now, a part of a developed sense of realism is you need to hone your bullcrap radar. There are tons of gimmicks and nonsense out there trying to take advantage of you. Any one of these that tell you that achieving your goal is easy or quick or faster or guaranteed, that's just catering to your wish bias. So remember always, if it doesn't feel like work, then it's not going to work. Boom! All right, be real about what it'll take and expect to give more of yourself to get there. That should be a good thing, not a bad thing. And again, if you expect a lot for yourself, then you should expect a lot from yourself as well. So, two parts of this must-have of realism and pragmatism. If it doesn't feel like work, it's not going to work. And if you expect a lot for yourself, as in achieving this goal, then you need to expect a lot from yourself in terms of what it takes to get there as well. Boom. So let's get real about getting real. Next, you must have self-discipline as your foundation. And self-discipline is something you forge by practicing it and applying it daily in the big stuff and even in the smaller stuff. The deeper your self-discipline, the better able you are to focus and to be undeterred or distracted by shiny objects. As Warren Buffett so famously put it, we don't have to be smarter than the rest. We just have to be more disciplined than the rest. Another boom, all right? We don't have to be smarter than the rest. We just have to be more disciplined than the rest. So stop focusing on gathering more and more information to the point that your head is spinning. Serve self-discipline, and eventually it will serve you back tenfold. So remember that and be mindful of self-discipline as your foundation. Next, you must have more humility than pride. That's right. Remember the expression, pride goeth before a fall. Too many times it's pride that leads people to quit and give up. They would rather be a quitter than a loser in their own heads. Use humility instead of pride, and know that as you get there, there's always going to be people that have done it better than you've done it, or look better than you look, or whatever. So what? do it anyway if it means something to you. And be grateful that you even have the opportunity to try to do it in the first place. Many people don't have this opportunity. And then consider how many times you have stopped and started in the past. So proceed with more humility than pride. That's very important. Knowing you have tried and failed or come up short in the past, as I mentioned above, or you not have lived your finer self in the past, these things should serve as examples for you to proceed humbly and with humility. Let go of pride, and especially false pride, because until you've achieved it, there is no achievement to claim. And once you have achieved it, if it's real and it's personal, it will be deeply personal, and you'll have a deep sense of personal satisfaction, which will replace any previous notions to brag as pride would want you to do. So more humility than pride. Next, and this one should be obvious, but common sense ain't so common. Next, you must have a plan. And now this is where coaching can be so valuable. It's one thing to have a straight plan when all around you is quiet and circumstances are easy and convenient. But you also need contingency plans. How are you going to respond when life throws you curveballs? Because life is always going to throw you curveballs. What you practice when things are simple and easy will be what informs you and grounds you when life gets a little more challenging. So have a plan. And from that plan, consider some what-if contingency plans for times of travel or social engagements or unforeseen circumstances or whatever. As the old saying goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. And yet it's amazing just how often I witness a failure to plan among the so-called adults that I see or deal with all the time. And then they act surprised when things don't come together. I mean, seriously? So failing to plan is planning to fail, and that should be obvious. So have a plan. Even a faulty plan is better than no plan at all, because at least you can learn from a faulty plan if you are paying attention. And yet how many people work out and exercise with no plan at all? They don't even know what they're going to do in the gym until they get there, or they sign up for classes that have nothing to do with assessing their own body and where it's at and where it needs to go and how it's going to get there. And no, chest day, back day, shoulder day, arm day isn't a plan. That's just a structure. It's not a plan. So even define what a plan actually means. So must have a plan and know what that actually means. Very, very important. Next, you must have a healthy perspective. Don't drown in the little smallest of details and blow them up to be bigger than they are. Far too many drama mamas online and social media these days, they make it sound like overcoming a cold to work out is the same thing as overcoming stage 4 cancer and chemotherapy. Stop the nonsense. At the same time, realize that how you do even small things is reflective on how you do everything that matters. Little things make a difference, but you shouldn't need to dramatize them or overstate them or state them at all. Like get out of bed in the morning when your alarm goes off. Hitting the snooze button on your morning start is hitting the snooze button on your life, and it's hitting the snooze button on achieving your goal. No one gets ahead that way. If you have a purpose in doing little things well, then big things will seem to be easier as well, and vice versa. So have a healthy perspective on how you do things. Very, very important. Next, you must have higher standards for the task at hand than you may used to have had. Extraordinary achievements require extraordinary efforts. Boom. I've said that a million times. Extraordinary achievements require extraordinary efforts, and the principles and methods of consistency and compliance of high standards apply if you are to reach any worthy goal. There's no such thing, folks, as two levels for standards of achievement, one for people who are seriously dedicated and one for those who are seriously deluded and less dedicated. So how the champions do it is how you have to do it too, and that requires a higher standard of commitment and consistency. Very, very important. Next, you must have a healthy and mature approach to mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable all along the way. When you make a mistake, the healthy and mature approach as to what to do about that mistake is: one, admit you made a mistake. Don't dance around it. Even if you're just admitting it in your own mind and not telling anyone, you have to go there and admit you made a mistake. Two, look to learn something from that mistake, anything at all that is constructive and productive, all right? Which leads to number three, ask yourself how not to repeat that mistake again. And number four, which is very, very important, stop the ridiculous emotional self-punishment over the mistake. That doesn't move you forward. It just keeps you stuck there, and worse, it makes you afraid of that mistake again, and it makes you more intimidated and afraid to keep on trying because you might fall down and slip up. That's not healthy, and that's not mature. Sure, be mad at yourself for dumb mistakes or being lazy or whatever. Get mad at yourself, but then move the frick on already. Have a healthy and mature approach to mistakes. Anything short of that is unhealthy and immature, so keep that in mind. Next, you must have an I want to earn it attitude. And that's a much different attitude than merely I want to have it. If it could just be handed to you, would you value it? Would you respect it? So as we've already discussed, it's one thing to must have the work ethic required, but it is also another thing to want to work hard to achieve that goal. No one else has a final say as to being able to work harder than you do at the task at hand. I forged my whole career on having less talent and ability than so many others, but I still surpassed those who were more genetically blessed with more to work with than I had. So if you think of a desire to work for it as being a kind of ability in and of itself, then you can practice and hone that ability in yourself. And eventually this extra effort brings you confidence and composure and self-assurance and so many other intangibles that many with natural talent just take for granted. So you must have a I want to earn it attitude, not just a I want to have it attitude. Now, finally, if you want to be granted citizenship in the country of before and after sustainable physique transformation or weight loss, then you must speak the language of living in this country. You have to know the slang and the jargon and all the passwords. And then you have to live here in the culture and become part of its melting pot. You can't just be a tourist who doesn't speak the language and just pretends to. So you can speak the language of sets and reps and all the rest, and calories and grams and macros all you want, but if you don't have these 17 principles, then you're never going to become a citizen in the land of before and after physique transformation. How you get there and how you become a citizen in the land of before and after physique transformation is by practicing these 17 must-have principles and conditions until they become part of who you are. So, as I like to say in a lot of my articles that I write, as usual, some of you will get it, some of you will not. And to review, since I threw a lot at you here is your Coach Scott Abel must-have checklist. Print it out, put it somewhere where you can see it every day. Go through it from time to time and say to yourself, check, when you know you are practicing that one must-have principle. And those where you honestly can't say check, then tell yourself, I need to make this a much bigger priority, and then follow accordingly. So, go through them really quick. Here's your 17 checklist. 1, you must have a penchant to work harder at that goal than you may have in the past. 2, you must have a will-do attitude and not just a can-do attitude. 3, you must have and develop a sense of resilience instead of a sense of illusion. 4, you must have a desire for preparation. 5, you must have simple mantras to go to in your mind that keep you grounded. 6, you must have ownership and responsibility for the process and the goal. 7, you must have the right attitude to achieve that goal. 8, you must have deeper dedication that extends beyond mere convenience. 9, you must have a belief in yourself that you can do this and that you will do this. 10, you must have a developed sense of realism and pragmatism. 11, you must have self-discipline as your foundation. 12, you must have more humility than pride. 13, you must have a plan. 14, you must have a healthy perspective. 15, you must have higher standards for the task at hand than you may used to have had. 16, you must have a healthy and mature approach to mistakes. And 17, you must have a I want to earn it attitude over and instead of I just want to have it attitude. So those are your 17 points. I may have left something out, I don't know. These things have come to mind because it's that time of year where everyone is telling themselves in their heads they're committed to their goal. Well, these are 17 must-have principles and conditions in order to not only just achieve your goal, but to sustain your goal. If I've left anything out, by all means, comment in the comment section and feel free to tell me where I'm wrong and I'm full of crap and all the rest of it. But I tell you folks, earnestly, I've been doing this 4+ decades now, and I see the difference in qualities and principles and conditions that mark the difference between who gets there and who doesn't get there. And it's very seldom a difference between who has the knowledge and who doesn't. So let's get real about getting real, and I'll get back to my videos coming up soon. Hope you benefited from this. By all means, I look forward to your comments. Keep the comments intelligent and real and respectful, and I'll be happy to post them. And I'll see you all in the next video.